Hey,
How are you?
borderline spectacular.
That's nice. I can see it in your color. Borderline spectacular. That's how I'm going to greet people now. Thanks so much
Do
for
it.
taking time to come. So I know I call you little brother. That seems almost insulting, but I left home when you were 8, right? So to me, you're my little brother.
Oh, yeah.
But you're a fully grown father and everything. But I wanted to invite you today to talk about love. We're talking about love this month of February. And we'll get into it. I just wanted to see if you could introduce yourself and you can brag. This is your chance to brag.
Sure. So I am your brother. I am a father of 2 wonderful boys. They are 11 and 14 years old.
They're so cute.
Yes, because they
boys.
look like their mother probably. So no, they're good kids. Super smart, super kind, super fun. I think I'm going to keep them
Good.
so far.
That's a good plan.
Yeah.
Okay, so what else do you do for work and stuff? You've done all kinds of really fun things in your career, and it's been fun to watch.
Thanks. Well, I've been working on software, so I implement software.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I like it. It's interesting. It's challenging, right? It's always different, but it's a job, right? It's not what defines me.
Uh-huh.
And but I am grateful for work. I'm grateful for my job and for the income that it brings.
That's so good. It's so fun that you said that. You know, that's right at the core of what we're going to talk about. Sometimes we allow the things we do to define who we are, and then we have a hard time loving ourselves because, as you know, with motherhood and parenting in general, it's really difficult because you might teach a thing to a child and they might do something else, and pretty soon you're like, oh, I'm not good enough because the exterior sources of love for myself are messed up or broken or whatever. Not that the person is broken, but your expectation is not what it is. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm so glad you said that. So you are what number in our family?
I'm number 8 out of 10 kids. Yeah. So seven daughters, right? You were number 5.
Yes.
And then I was born later. I'm number 8. And then, of course, we have my brother, who is number 9, and a little sister. So, yeah, there's 10 of us.
And you weren't alive before you were alive, of course.
Right.
So you never heard the excitement that it came with having the first son. And for a father, a Latin father, having a son is the best thing ever in the world.
Which comes with a lot of expectations, right?
Yes, a lot of
Of
pressure.
pressure. Uh-huh.
A whole lot of pressure. So I actually, for the 8 years I lived at home, we have a great set of parents. They care a lot. But I could see that pressure. Even as a child, I could feel, this is my son and he has my name. And I want to show the world that he is perfect because I made him, right? I mean, I'm going to be poking putting some hot puckers at you, and I hope that's okay because we
Perfect. Yeah, that's fine.
because it's hard. It's hard being a parent, but it's also hard being a child and not understanding that completely real love that has no expectations, that has no predetermined returns.
Mm-hmm.
So as my gift to you, I'm going to give this really cool book. And I don't know if you collect books or not, but you're welcome to listen to it in Audible. It is absolutely amazing. It's called Real Love by Greg Baird. He is a medical doctor, but he learned the hard way how to love and how to be loved. And it made me think of you because of our conversation during Christmas dinner, that we haven't lived in the same state very much, and you've been raising your own family, I've been raising my own family, and we don't get to just sit as two strangers will speak, which was kind of fun. Because we see each other as siblings, but we never talk to each other as strangers, which is kind of a fun thing to talk to each other in that sense, right? And I might be referring a lot to this because so many of the things you told me that day when we talked about emotions and love and all that kind of stuff and being accepted is written in this book. And like I said, I just barely finished it. So I thought, wow, maybe my brother wrote it. And he didn't tell me. It's just his pseudonym. So,
I love gifts and I love books. Thank you so much. I will read this.
You're going to love it.
Yes, in the next week, probably. I will definitely sit down and read it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm excited.
Yeah. What, just What comes to your mind when somebody mentions love? What is it that comes to your mind?
So there's the expectation of what love is, right? And then there is what I have learned, what I have found, what love truly is, right? And like the book says, real love or true love. I like this phrase right here, this word, unconditional love, right? And what happens is that we sometimes have to go through low points in our lives, or we go through hard times in our lives, to where we have to be woken up and we say, wow, if I would not have gone through this, then I probably would not have learned something, right? I would not have learned about love. So to answer your question, right, when people think what love is, they usually think romantic love,
right?
Or they think being in love and this feeling and giving up everything and sacrificing. They think of a mother who like sacrifices, or a wife who has to sit there and endure love, and love hurts, right? So that's what comes to mind, or what used to come to mind. I believe now that love is just beauty.
Oh, I like that.
Love,
much better than sacrifice.
Right. And
I like to take notes, by the way.
no, perfect. Yeah, me too.
I learn as I go.
I should have taken notes too, but I'll just watch this and then I'll take notes afterwards.
Okay, good idea.
So what I've learned is that love really is bliss, and it's fun, and it's exciting, and it's pretty, but most of all, it's powerful. We are love. Ooh. And there's that phrase that Christians use a lot that say, if God is with me, no one can be against me, right? So I used to think, oh, there's this guy up there in the sky who is like behind me, and he has angels, and he's like protecting me. But really, I've learned that love is God, and God is love. So that phrase goes back to, if I have love, if I am aligned with love, then nothing is against me. I can accomplish anything, because I believe that love really is the most powerful force in the universe. And again, I don't want to say, hey, this. I'm not talking about this romantic love, this kiddie love that we feel when we're younger, or it's really the most powerful force when we are aligned with our higher being, our higher selves, with the universe, with God, with whatever it is that we want to call it. I believe that that's when we're experiencing unconditional love.
Oh, I like that.
So that's what comes to mind. So to answer your question.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Wow, we can just be done. This is great. I love that idea that when you're aligned with God, what you're talking about is being aligned with that source of love. And if you know that you are loved by someone, even if the whole world fails you, including yourself, there's somebody out there that loves you no matter what. He already feels that you're the perfect person for where you are or who you are, which is something that would change everybody's life. And I also like that you were talking about eros, really, that romantic love. You know how the Greeks divide the idea of love? They have different words for different feelings of love. So then you have the eros, which is the romantic love, but also the fraternal love. And then you have the agape, which is the higher love that really exemplifies what you're talking about. That compassion, that connection, that beauty, that peace that brings love, not sacrifice and misery and that pain. Later in the month, we're going to have a very wonderful guest that talks about the pain she felt when her mother died at 19 years old. Wow, imagine that. Imagine what would have happened to you without your mother that young. And how she's my friend, and we've talked about this before, and she says that moment of extreme pain and uncertainty and not knowing where to turn with a father that wasn't very cozy and loving, really defined who she chose to be. She didn't want to be a victim. The poor little orphan girl, she became one of the most empowered women I know. But it was because she was seeking out that love, that unconditional love from a higher source, because her mother wasn't there to provide it. So that wheel, I think I show you this wheel during Christmas. And if you look in the love part, how about those words? Because that's something I like to be in the first week of February and Valentine's month. Like it would be nice to chop up love into specific little pieces instead of just one big, massive concept.
Should I read them?
If you like to, yeah.
So gentle, tolerant, forgiving, loved, nurtured, committed. Love it.
Isn't that interesting?
Absolutely.
And I like that it mentions loved. So to feel love, what if you don't get loved? But that's complicated. Of course, you want to love people. How do you, what if nobody loves you back?
See, and that's where I think that we go wrong, because we expect people to love us back, right? So, so Liz, if we talk about, say, at this point, romantic love, right, or love for your partner, your wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, what happens is that we think, okay, I'm in love, or I love this person, but really what we're feeling is that person is really just bringing in us or waking a certain feeling, right? Is this feeling of love. And when we don't understand love, we say, okay, you know what? I like this feeling, and now this person is going to become mine. It's going to become my property. Is going to
source of
I'm going to
love.
own this person, right? Yeah. And this is going to be my source of love. So I'm going to expect this person to make me happy, to give me love. But what happens when, after 3 months, after 6 months, the honeymoon stage is over. Yeah. There's bills, and there's diapers, and there is, things that you have to fix. Or maybe your partner gets sick, or your partner has to travel, or something happens, right? And then you don't get that attention from your partner. Then you're like, now what? Right? You're not feeling loved. And then you become, okay, well, what's going on? You become jealous. You say the job is more important than me, or the kids are more important than me, or your friends, or your telenovela, whatever it is that you're doing.
Right. You feel cheated.
And you feel that, exactly. You feel that you get those negative feelings. But the way that I've learned, and again, I want to back up a little bit, because I said sometimes we have to go, and we don't have to. I don't know why in the human condition we feel like we have to go through these really hard times in order to learn something, right? We could learn it without going through that. Without the pain.
We just choose to experiential learning.
Yes, but I guess I was at probably my lowest point in probably my whole life. It happened probably about 2 years ago. 2.5 years ago, a little bit after, my partner and I got separated. And because I expected her to make me happy. And that is a huge burden to put on someone, right? It is your job to make me happy.
Yes.
How are you going to make me happy? And when she was gone, and, I learned certain things, and when I realized that we were not going to get back together, I got in my car that night, and I drove as fast as I could.
Your BMW.
The little BMW. And I drove. I didn't know where
I can go really fast.
Where I was going. Yes, and so I drove towards the canyons. And I was crying. I was crying ugly. When you do the ugly crying.
Ugly crying. I go to the mountain to cry myself.
That's where you go.
Yes, of course.
So the boogers and the tears and screaming. And
just no makeup for you. Luckily, you didn't have any eyeliner.
How do you know?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. No, so at one point I was going up the canyon, and I was taking these really fast turns, and I thought, if I don't stop, I'm gonna kill myself. Yeah. So I stopped.
Because you had the anger and frustration and fear and sadness, all of it combined, and
Exactly.
Yes.
No, I stopped, and where I stopped, there was this sign that said dead end. And I thought,
sounds like my life.
It sounds like my life. That was the lowest point.
Oh, no kidding.
I think it was 11 a.m. when I left. At that point, it was like 3 a.m.
Oh, wow.
And, I called a couple of my friends and things. So I had to fall that low in order to realize that I could really be happy and that
Mhm.
that I didn't need that someone to love me in order to feel happy. So
Mm.
then that's where unconditional love came in, right? And it was a process, right? It really wasn't quick. It was a process. I mean, for weeks I felt sorry for myself, and I gained weight, and I got out of shape and things.
Mhm.
But when I started really loving myself, and here's the thing: when people think that you love yourself, it means when I didn't really understand that, I thought it was really liking myself. Oh, I like myself.
Yeah.
No, it's so much more than that. It's really aligning with who you are, with your higher self.
Oh, I like
When
that.
you're aligned with your inner being, with God, with the universe, whatever it is that we're going to call it,
Yeah.
that's when you feel your inner being saying, you know what, I love you unconditionally.
Yes.
No matter what.
Wow.
No matter what you do, I will always see you as worthy. I will always see you as lovable. I will always see you as perfect. Because whatever you do, you are growing. Whatever you do, you're still evolving. And you are becoming a better person, no matter what decisions we make. So when I started feeling that love, I thought, oh my gosh, there was this burden that was taken off of me. And I said, I don't need anybody to love me. It's pretty, it's beautiful. It's a great feeling when somebody loves you, right? When you get the attention and they look at you with these eyes and the smile and things. And it's beautiful, right? But when somebody loves you, after you already love yourself, it just adds to that love. Right? It just adds to the bliss, to the happiness.
Wow, that's here's the thing that's amazing to me. So I'm taking notes of things that you're saying, and I finished that book today, like 5 minutes before I started my podcast today, and pretty much everything you're saying is in that book. And let me share with the audience what phrases the author uses, because I think they're powerful. And you literally mention all of them with a different word, but it's the same concept. He said the problem with us and love, all of us human, any kind of love, like you were saying, it could be agape, it could be friendship, it could be eros, any kind of love, is that most of the time we've never been loved unconditionally. As wonderful as our parents are, we share the same parents, right? And they are wonderful people. Can't imagine being raised by anybody else. They could not love us unconditionally any more than I am. I haven't been that good about loving my children unconditionally, because I have the idea that in order to be a good parent, you're like, you're doing this wrong and you're doing that wrong and you're doing this wrong. And so people naturally feel like they're failing, even though that's not what your intent is. You're trying to be the best parent, and especially being raised by our 80-year-old parents now, their generation was, you as a child, you're a reflection of who I am as a parent. So it's my duty to make sure that you don't mess up, because then I look bad. But think about that concept, right? It's about me, not about the child. And I did that for many years, and I'm trying to get better. So the author says, because we feel empty because of that lack of unconditional love, because most of us did not experience it, and then you feel afraid. So many times you're like, oh, if I do something wrong, I'm going to be spanked. In our generation, I don't know about you, but I got spanked. And that was okay in Guatemala. It was expected. It was the right thing to have done for the parents that we grew up with, right? So the idea of being afraid, because you can't ever tell your truth. So he mentions those three things, and the combination of it, the idea that I have to be true to myself and recognize my strengths and my weaknesses before I can accept myself. And when I interact with other people, I have to be honest. And I don't need to pretend that I'm very good at swimming because I've never swum. But because you're a swimmer, I'm trying to impress you. Do you know what I mean? So that truth is the beginning. And then what happens is, because we feel empty and afraid that we're going to not be loved or not be good enough, then we start to getting and protecting behaviors, which is fake kind of love. So you do get, like you were saying about your partner, expecting that person to be the one that provides the love, because that's just natural, what we have naturally learn in society,
Mm-hmm.
then that pressure on that person is not fair. Plus, they can't feel it because they probably have the same problem. So you get getting behaviors and protecting behaviors. So you become angry and frustrated and you're arguing. And anyway, so I think it's a wonderful book. I think you're going to love it, but I think you could have written it. I'm like,
You're too
oh
nice.
my
I don't
goodness.
know.
Yeah.
You mentioned something about fear, and I used to think that the opposite of love was hate. Right? We think, oh, okay, love is on one spectrum, on one side of the spectrum, hate is on the other side.
Yeah.
But I believe that the opposite of love is actually fear.
Huh.
Love, when we feel unconditional love, we can do things.
Huh.
We can go out there and accomplish, and we can attract the things that we want,
Yeah.
the experiences that we want.
Yeah.
But when we feel fear, then we can't go out there and accomplish those things. So, I mean, the first thing I do in the morning and the last thing I do at night, right, is I meditate.
That's a great idea.
To feel that love,
Yeah.
right? Because I want to go to bed feeling love. I want to wake up feeling love. And again, I've had to have this paradigm shift that love is not this. It's not so much, again, yeah, the brotherly love and the romantic love and the love of yourself. But when you are aligned, you have all those loves, and that's when you are at your most powerful.
I like that.
As a being,
Yeah.
right? And then we go back and say, okay, well, there's a saying, right, in English, when you say my better half, you introduce your partner, my better half. Or in Spanish is mi media naranja, right? You say my half an orange, right?
Yes.
So where's your better half? And it's cute, it's funny, you're like, oh, right? But when we think about it, I believe that it's so off, it's so wrong.
Yeah, because it makes it like you're not complete.
Exactly. You're actually
Ah.
saying, I'm only half of an orange. There's another half of me. I'm only half of a being, a half of a whole. And that's what happens when we see that maybe our children don't love us. We feel incomplete, right?
Yes.
Or our parents, or maybe our friends, right? I have good friends, and I'm so grateful for my friends.
Yeah.
But if they do something that I say, like, what? I can't believe she did that to me. Again, I feel that pain because I go back and say, okay, maybe I'm not complete.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's powerful.
It's helped me in my healing, right? Because then I realized that in the last 3 years since I've been separated, I worked on actually becoming that whole, right? I worked on becoming that whole orange, la naranja completa, not just the half an orange. Because then when I'm whole, then I don't need somebody else.
Right. So you don't use other people to feel whole.
Exactly.
But you have enough that you can give instead of expecting people to fill you. And it's interesting that you've used the word perfect a few times about feeling that you're perfect. And people would be like, what? What makes you think that you're perfect? But here's the thing that's funny. Perfect in Hebrew means complete. So it's fun that you have said perfect. Like you naturally, that word came to your mind. If somebody loves you, and if you love yourself, you know you're perfect. Not because you're perfect in the sense of an American, I've got everything lined up and I make no mistakes, but more like I am complete.
Exactly.
And that makes you as a whole, not just a half a person that has to depend on other people to live on. And there's so many people that get married and divorced. We got a sister that is on her 4th marriage, right? And she probably has never felt that completeness on her own. And it's kind of sad because I think that's part of the problem, right? Not feeling that without another half, you're by definition broken.
Right. And two things happen. You feel that you're not complete, so you got to bring somebody else to complete you, A, and B, because you're not complete, you attract someone who's also not complete. Right? And then you have two incomplete individuals trying to make each other happy, and that's never going to happen.
And that's a
but
mess.
When you are complete, And I'm not saying perfect. When you are complete, when you're a whole orange, now you attract another whole orange.
Yes.
You see that? You have two oranges, and dude, that's happiness.
So
That is like
cool.
that is like so much fun.
Yes.
And of course, no man is an island. And I'm not saying just go and love yourself and don't need anybody else. That's you could do that, and that's perfectly fine. And I did it for years. Or like,
right.
I love myself and I don't need anyone, and that's fine. I don't need a relationship. But when I was ready, I'm like, okay, well, I'm ready. I don't know that I'm whole just yet, right? I'm working on it. Mm-hmm. So now I'm like, okay, I have attracted someone who's also, equal to me, and then we make each other happy. Can I see your pen really quickly?
Yeah.
So what happens with this? I was painting, so I have like paint on my. Sorry. So when we think of the self, right? When you think who Debora is or who Tono is or whoever, all we can see is the tip, right, of this pen. And this is me.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I was born in 19 something. I'm not going to say the year, right?
Last century, right?
Last century. And I've done this. So when you said introduce yourself, I'm like, okay, well, whatever I say, the only thing I could say is this much.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But that's not me. And we think, okay, this is me. So we attract someone who thinks that's me. But really, this is us. This is when we connect to our higher selves, to our inner beings, to love, right? When we connect to love, to God or the universe, then we're like, wow, this is me.
The whole pen with the ink and everything,
the whole thing.
And the hand that moves it.
Exactly.
And I love it.
And
that's
so now I can see, I'm perfect. Of course I'm perfect. Right? This is not perfection.
Yeah, the tip
isn't.
Yeah.
But this is like, oh my God, you know what? I'm perfect. You're perfect. You're perfect. We're all perfect. And when we realize that and we say, wow, and we're in that perfect alignment, then we feel. And I felt that love. It's weird to say, right? But when it happens. Thank you for the pen.
Yeah.
And one of the times that, again, right after that,
the separation, divorce,
the divorce, and I had that low point. I focused on finding happiness from within, right? Love from within instead of trying to find it from without. Mm-hmm. And one of the times that I was meditating, I don't know if I can say this on camera, but the only way that I could describe it, and you know me, I say things, right?
That's okay. I say things too.
And, I felt that I connected with my inner self, right? That I connected, and that was aligned for I think it was like less than a minute. But the true happiness that I felt, the complete happiness, the unconditional love that I felt was so powerful that the only way that I could describe it is like this internal spiritual orgasm. I was like, oh my gosh, this is what true
That's
love.
what you were worried about saying.
Yes.
Okay, that's okay. You can say
good.
it.
I just moved this. So that's the way that I was like, oh my gosh. So, and I thought, my inner being actually loves me. It sees me and it sees my perfection and how amazing I really am, how smart I am, how good looking I am, how whatever, right? Because that's all that my inner being can see. And I felt that love towards me, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is unconditional love.
I like that. What a great thought, to feel completely aligned with something bigger than just a little tip that people can see or that you can see. Because sometimes we don't see ourselves. We just are critical.
So when it comes to when I realized that I was that whole individual and that I was really perfect, because we all are perfect. We all are love.
Yeah.
Then I realized, okay, I can attract someone like that too.
Yeah.
And someone could come into my life. I thought there was this song that my ex dedicated to me before we got separated. Mm-hmm. Right? You probably heard it. And it's in Spanish. It's called Me dediqué a perderte. I worked at losing you.
What a depressing song.
It was bad. Yeah. So she said, you're going to find yourself alone because you worked at losing me. And when you hear that song, you're going to remember me.
That's masochism.
Well, but the thing is that happens with every relationship. For some reason, we feel like we have to hurt each other and say things.
So you can miss each
So,
other,
right.
control each other, really. That's what
Control,
it is.
exactly.
Control.
Because we, when we feel that love and we're like, oh my gosh, person makes me feel so good. And I'm going to control that person so that person can always give me that, because I'm not getting it from
it's the
me.
getting behavior.
If the getting, so I'm like, I need to control that person. I need to own that person. You are mine.
Yes.
So for the longest time, whenever that song would come up, I would change it. I'm like, oh, I can't. It hurts. Yeah. And I was at a party with some friends. It was a dinner party, right? We were all singing and eating and things, and this song comes up.
Oh no, you couldn't turn it off.
And I couldn't turn it off. And you could hear it all over the house.
It's had to close your ears. You can only close your eyes.
Yes. Oh, you can't close your ears.
I've tried before. That's from experience.
Yeah, it didn't work. So I walked away and I went to a corner to feel sorry for myself.
Of course.
Right.
Because now you feel like a victim and you want to run just like the guy talks in the book.
Exactly. Because I didn't feel whole. Yeah. So, and I cried ugly again. I didn't want anybody to see me. Right. My two good friends, they know this story. So if they hear it, they'll know what happened. They came to me and they're like, what happened? And they're like,
such a victim.
They cried too. Everybody started crying. Oh. But I couldn't get away from that. Right. So that song is a popular song. It comes up. I was listening to it at work on January 8th.
Not that it impacted you at all.
Yes. January 8th of 2020.
Oh, so you have that's a day that would go down in your heart forever.
I was at work. It came up and I turned it off. But that day I drove home, and at 5:17, as I was entering the freeway, 5:17 p.m., the song comes up on the radio. And I said, you know what?
I'm just going to go through it.
I'm going to listen to this. I'm going to listen to it because I had never listened to it truly, right? Yeah. So I turned the volume up and I just let it hit me. But I didn't cry. I didn't feel sorry for myself. I thought, you know what? Yes, I did things, of course, it takes two to tango. But you know what? It wasn't just me. It was also her.
Yes.
I didn't know how to love her. She didn't know how to love me. I didn't know how to love myself. She didn't know how to love herself. So it was both of us. Yeah. It wasn't just me. It wasn't just guilt.
Yes.
Because we live with this guilt.
Yes. That
we don't love enough. We don't do enough. We don't love you the way that you want to be loved. I didn't take out the garbage, so I don't love you enough. I didn't call you.
External things.
Exactly. I didn't call you early in the morning on your birthday or our anniversary, so I don't love you enough. All those things, you're guilty. And you feel that guilty, like, oh my gosh, I could have done, I could have, would have, should have, like my wrestling coach used to say in high school, you could have, would have, should have. Give it your all. Leave it all on the mat, right? And so I lived with that guilt. And then at that point, the guilt left me.
Wow.
And I realized.
That's cool.
I said, it's okay. And now I listen to it and I enjoy the song. It's a good song.
I gotta listen to it. Because I'm way older than you. I don't think I ever heard it before I left Guatemala.
Yeah. No, it's from 2006, I want to say.
Yeah. Nice.
So I enjoy the song. It comes up and
so the healing has happened. That pain, you had to go through the pain in order to just heal. And it's a couple of books that came to mind, since I didn't realize how much you like books. I'm excited because I love books. M. Catherine Thomas is going to be one of my favorite authors. She's an LDS writer, but she writes about life, not about religion. I mean, she does have religious books, but one of the things that I learned from her, just life writings, she was saying that so many of us have made our heart out of concrete. I'm sure I'm paraphrasing it, and maybe I'm misquoting it, but the idea of something solid, like concrete. So every pain that we feel, it gets stuck in there until that heart gets harder and harder and more painful. He said, why don't we choose to make our hearts and our feelings out of like chicken wire? And when I could see that visual, because I'm such a visual person, in my head, I'm like, oh, so if that person did that to me, or I made this mistake, or I lost that house, or whatever that was, it's okay. Just let it go through you, because you let that song go through you. but didn't let it fester and destroy you and make your heart all just stone, but you just let it go through like chicken wire. Why not, right? It's a choice.
I like that.
And I love how pain, you can absorb the pain, or you can just let it go. You still have to feel it. Someday you have to confront that pain, and that's, I think, people that avoid confronting that moment, it turns into a PTSD problem. You know, it's such a traumatic moment that you can't face it. And here's another thing that is so wise from that book. One of the things that he recommends is that when you're in the middle of that traumatic, I can't love this person, or I can't love myself, or that person doesn't love me, you need to call a wise person. That's what he calls it. And you mentioned that you called a friend one time, right? And then when you were at the party, those two friends came and talked to you. And one of the beautiful things that he teaches is that, actually, he should give me some, he's going to have to get some of that money that comes from that book, because I am giving it to the world.
I agree. But let's call him and say, hey, you need to give my sister some
I'm promoting
money.
your book. But one of the things that he says that I really loved is that he said, because we expect wrongly to have our partner, our spouse, or whoever that is, fill our love bucket, and it's not full, then we are always feeling like we're lacking. And we also feel that that we can't produce love because we haven't been loved enough. In order for you to feel loved, to produce love and give love unconditionally, you have to have enough love. But some people say, oh, I can't. I don't have enough love from people, so I'm not going to be able to love anybody. He said, no, that's not true. You can get love from so many wise people, is what he calls it, wise men and wise women, which is absolutely brilliant. You know how much love I have felt from you? I have felt love from my little sister, from my parents, from my friends, from the people I meet, random strangers. And that little droplets of love kind of fill that oil lamp, like the oil lamp idea. All those little drops that eventually can give you light.
Well, you have to recognize it.
You have to recognize it. And you have to seek it out. You have to be intentional about, I'm going to call my friend. I'm going to go in that corner and cry ugly. And it's okay to open up and let those people in your life that can give you that love. But like we started talking in the beginning, people assume love has to be sexual. No, that's a part of a relationship that should be a very important, special relationship. But you can't feel love from so many sources without feeling like you're cheating on anybody, because it is impossible, unless it was God loving you, who has a perfect love, for one person to provide all the love that you need.
It can't happen.
Right?
It will never happen.
No. It's not possible. So I wanted to show you this. So, I love oils. And this was actually, this wheel was put together by an oil guru. And that's why they're connected to oils, because your amygdala inside of your brain can feel a scent and help you feel more of something that you need. And this wheel you're willing to take home with you is a gift.
Thank you.
And the back of the wheel, it talks about emotions that are negative. It doesn't say bad. It doesn't say good here. This is positive. This is negative. And in order to bring out the good, we have to accept that there is the pain. Like, do you remember that movie Inside Out? It's a kid's movie.
I remember, yes.
It's a
cute movie. Yes.
Every adult loves it.
Yes.
And the idea that she had to acknowledge that there was sadness before she can get over her thing. But here's the thing that I think, this oil, this is a little aromatherapy oil thing. And I am going to give you another gift because you're my brother.
Yes.
You're my brother. You get two gifts.
That's awesome.
But these are really great emotions. And one is called motivate, cheer, passion, console, and peace.
Oh, wow.
But this is my favorite oil for love. It doesn't say love. Look what it says.
It says, forgive yourself first.
Right? And I just thought, how beautiful. Because in there isn't one that says love. It is called for. To me, if you can't forgive yourself or other people that have hurt you intentionally or not, you will never make space for the love. It's like taking out, like you were saying, the fear and the love, how they cannot coexist. Same
Can
thing
I smell
with
it?
Oh, yeah, open it up.
All right.
I would warn you, sometimes it makes you cry. because you don't realize how many people you need to forgive and they need to forgive you.
Smells
Isn't
good.
that good? So I learned something recently. So in order to I'll use your oil.
Okay.
What kind of giver are you? You're gonna say. So a friend of mine calls it, I think it's like swiping, like Dora the Explorer. Swiper, no swiping.
Swiper, don't swipe.
So swiper,
over no
swiping under
swiping.
your ear and right here on your brain. And I'm like, I've never seen that before. But what she was explaining to me is that the scent of it helps, but also when you put it right into your above your brain, here in your forehead, you're able to get the amygdala deep into your brain, right behind all that. Those tiny, tiny, tiny micro cells that are in those oils can go and wake up that part of your brain.
Here.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
That is super interesting.
Yeah. And so I'm going to start using it because it can really help with emotional health, to start to forgive. And that just kind of triggers the process. But then I'm sure you do journaling, and if you don't, that's incredible. You've seen my life, you've seen some of the things I've struggled with, and maybe unkind people I have dealt with, and difficult children, and just being a human.
Of course.
Like the human condition you're talking about. I have filled so many journals, and not so that I could record how angry I was at somebody. I started that way. And as I got writing and writing, and sometimes you can write for an hour and you think, oh, most of it was my fault, which is funny, right? You go back and you want to blame, and then you start writing and you think, oh, maybe I pushed the wrong button. I knew better, right? So not to make you, the person writing, feel guilty, but so that the process is always more than one side of that, whatever story we're telling ourselves.
Of course, yeah. And we believe, again, we take responsibility, right, first, because I believe that we decide whether we get upset or angry or sad, right? It's our decision.
Yeah.
And second is because we attract it. That experience,
yes,
we attract it. We didn't say, oh, I want that experience, right? Because of our feelings. You say there is no bad feelings, there's just, or bad emotions. There's only negative and positive, right? There's just, we need those negative emotions to let us know, hey, here's where you're at, right? It gives us like a little roadmap of, oh, I'm feeling this, I'm going down the wrong path. So let me change my emotion so I can get to the right path. So it's okay to have those negative emotions. It's okay to feel them. You just acknowledge them and say, oh, that just means that I'm in the wrong path. Let me move over to align myself a little bit better.
Yeah, and I have 8 sons.
Yes.
Right? You're like, yeah. And they kind of look like you. It's really strange because I feel like I'm talking to Chippy.
Poor guys.
Poor guys. You look somewhere between Chip and Bradley. I mean, Robert and Bradley.
Robert and Bradley.
Yeah, you look like them. And but here's the thing that's so interesting, that our culture has set up this weird idea that men shouldn't feel, especially our Latin culture. Oh, no, men don't cry. But then we expect them to be thoughtful and kind and good fathers and good husbands and to be comforting to us. But los hombres no lloran. I remember my dad saying that to you, los hombres no lloran, over and over again. Even if you got hurt, even if your arm broke, the men don't cry. Mm-hmm. So we have unintentionally, or maybe intentionally, have not allowed half of our population, which is all the males in the world, to have any feelings. But then we expect them to just have them. So how you've gone through an experience that is such a powerful guest for me to have, because you just went through all this process and have found the truth of how do you get there? How do you love yourself? And how do you get trust enough to love other people again?
So, yeah, great question. And I don't know that I've gotten there, right? It's
a process.
It's a journey.
It's a journey.
Right? And here's the thing. I believe that you never get there. But that's what's exciting. Right? That's the fun part, because the journey is always fun. So you never get there because you're always evolving. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. That's why. Not because it's impossible to get there. It's because you just always evolve. That's why.
That's what life is about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Growth and evolving.
Exactly. Forever.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, at the beginning when I was going through this and my dark times, yeah, I started listening to tapes and reading books and talking to people and reading stuff and watching videos. But they talked about love, and I'm like, but how?
How?
What do I do? What can I do
But the
right now?
actions.
Right now, what do I do? Like, I'm gonna get up from here. What do I do right now to actually feel whole, to be happy?
You don't
Because
teach it
really,
at school, right?
no, because that's really why we're here in life. We're here to be happy.
Yeah.
That's really that's all that it is. Just be happy. That's why we're here. So I'm like, but how? And I believe there's three things that have helped me, right? That if somebody would have shared with me a long time ago, oh my gosh,
That's why we have an audience that could fix their course right now.
I know. I don't know everything. We don't know everything. Nobody does. But what helped me, and I want to say three things, right? One is meditation.
And that's interesting.
When people think of meditation, they think mystical and the Far East and gurus and top of mountains and floating and stuff. But, I want to demystify what it actually means, right? To really wake up in the morning or before you go to bed. That's what I do. I meditate. All it is just quieting your mind, nothing else.
I like that. Quiet
So,
your mind.
Whether you believe in God, whether you're a Christian or whatever religion you are, right? Whether you pray to someone or you don't, they always teach you how to pray, the steps to prayer. And in Christianity, you're grateful, you ask, you use the name of Jesus and God and Heavenly Father and things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's prayer. Or in some places, there's these prayers that are written that you just recite.
Right.
But I think the most important part of prayer is really the latter part, which is just quieting your mind and listening. I believe that because we're energy, we're spirit, we're spiritual before we're humans. Mm-hmm. And because of that, we are always praying. Anything that we say, whenever we're grateful about something, whenever we are enjoying a meal, everything is prayer, I believe. And yeah, you could also pray in the mornings. You could pray before you eat, right, to be grateful. But the latter part of which is quieting your mind, and that's really all that meditation is, nothing else.
That. Quiet your mind.
Because what happens is when you get to a point where you meditate, and there's different. I don't want to. This is not a meditation interview, right? So I'm not going to go into it about
it's a
much.
Step to love. I like
but
that.
But it's one
Practical.
step exactly that really helped me, and it really is. You just I'm not going to talk about it much or how to do it, but there's plenty of videos on how to do it. But when I've gotten to the point to where when I stop becoming me, I'm not myself anymore. I'm not a human. I'm not a body. I'm just love. I'm just spirit, or I'm just mind, right? Whatever it is that you want to call it. And you don't feel anything except consciousness. That's when you feel that love. And I was talking about
that connection to
the divine, to your divine self, right?
Yes.
So I wake up in the morning, first thing you do, because when you first wake up, you're not thinking about bills, and you're talking about, the pain you have here and, work and stresses. You just wake up. Mm-hmm. So I'm just grateful. You wake up and you say a prayer of gratitude. Oh, I'm so grateful for my soft pillow, and I have a roof. Look at that. My bed is soft. I'm warm, right? You're just grateful. Yeah. Oh, I'm alive.
I love that.
I'm alive. Mm-hmm. And that's a prayer of gratitude. And then that's when I meditate. If I don't have a lot of time, I meditate for 15 minutes. If I have more time, I'll meditate for like an hour. And it's just quieting your mind, breathing, and you get to that point that you feel that connection and you feel that love. And then when you get out of that, you're like, I'm aligned. I feel love. And now I can give love. Once you're full of love, the only thing you can do is give it. There's nothing else you can do with it but give it. Right. So that's one thing. That's the very first thing, the simplest thing that someone can do now. Uh-huh. And I do it first thing in the morning again, because there's not so much in my mind. Once you go through your day, all those negative things happen, and it's harder to get into
you get
meditation.
Distracted and loud and
exactly. The other thing that I do is I find love everywhere, and
so be
So
have your eyes open to finding love.
yes, to finding it, and to, like you were talking about earlier, that you have to recognize it. So I came in and I came to the wrong place. I opened the door and
To the house instead of
instead
the
of here,
studio.
right? And there's a dog there, a French bulldog. Do you know the name of that dog? No.
I don't.
Cutest dog, right? And so I'm like, oh my gosh. So instead of thinking, how embarrassing, I walked into the wrong place, oh my gosh, and this, how could I? You know, of course I apologized and everything, but then I went and I petted the dog and I said, oh, is this a French bulldog? And when you pet a dog, you feel love. And
yeah, they are unconditionally loving.
they are. So he loved me and I loved him back. And I recognized it and I said, and I was grateful. Wow, I am so grateful that I went into the wrong place because I got to see this beautiful puppy. I petted it. He looked at me, or she. I looked at him. We had a connection, right? So you look for it everywhere. Today is super sunny out there.
Yes, cold.
It's been cold,
sunny.
right? It's been cold and gray. So I go up and like, look at this. You look at the mountains. We live in Utah, right? Even if you don't live in Utah, there's all the beautiful things. So you constantly find things to feel love, right? Like you gave me this gift and I felt love. Like I felt the love from you and then I give it right back to you.
Yeah.
So I think that when we find reasons to feel love, then that's when we actually, heal and become whole. The next thing and the last thing is it's gratitude.
Oh, I love that. It's right at the core.
Yes, it's definitely gratitude. So list all the things that you're grateful for in the morning, like I said, right? Before you go to bed. And when things go wrong, list all the things that you're grateful for. Those 3 things, I'm telling you, there's, a few other things that you could do, but those 3 things really are at the core of what helped me love myself and understand really what unconditional love really is. I was accused a couple of days ago, you don't know what true love is. And I said, actually, I didn't know. My eyes have been opened and I'm beginning to understand what true love really is. Right. So it's the other way around.
Learning, and it took that learning and that painful moment to really find it. So meditation, finding love everywhere, and gratitude. Mm-hmm. Thanks so much. I love you.
I love you.
You're a cool brother. I've got 2 of them.
Thanks.
And I do think that you have shared incredible insight. And I wish I'd known this years ago. But today is the day to begin, right? You can't go backwards. We can always go forward. And I appreciate your time. I know you have a job and all kinds of stuff, and you're good to show me your love by being supportive and coming over to share your thoughts with us.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you for giving me the time and the platform to share something that I think helped me. Hopefully helps one other person at least.
Oh, you can change the world. If we learn how to love, and don't forget to forgive.
Forgive myself
oil.
first. Yes. Okay.
Thanks.